Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the MUFC MPB YouTube channel. I'm very excited for today's show. I'm joined by one of my favorite journalists out there, Mr. Christian Falk, head of Sport Bild, Mr. True or Not True. Christian, just before we click record on this podcast, I was saying to you that every time we talk, it seems like England and Germany are becoming closer and closer friends. How is the reaction at the moment in Germany before we get into everything with Tuchel being the England manager? I have to ask you.
Yes, we are very proud, of course. Thomas Tuchel is your national coach, the motherland of football, and it's not normal that German is allowed to sit on your bench. So we know that is something special. But I think it's also a good situation for you because he's the missing puzzle for your national team because he will bring some tactics in your team. I think which was missed before. Gareth Southgate was not a really coaching guy at the sideline, and you will get a really impressing one now with Thomas Tuchel.
Oh, absolutely. The only reason why I'm a bit upset was because I would have loved him at Manchester United, but at least he's in charge of one of the teams I follow. I can't wait to see what he does for England. And of course, I just said there, that I wanted him at Manchester United. That is, of course, in light of the fact that Eric Ten Hag's future is really in doubt at the moment. The past few results, performances have led to a lot of pressure being mounted on Eric Ten Hag's head. So, what is the latest with Ten Hag? What have you heard? Is he close to being sacked? And could he even go if he loses to Brentford on the weekend? What have you heard from your side of things, Christian?
Yeah, there was an assembly at United, and they discussed a lot about the future. So I think it's last chance, of course. I think after the last matches, every United coach had some problems. And I heard they're already making a short list of coaches, which can be the successes. And they have three candidates, and one is a German again. Edin Terzic, the former coach of Borussia Dortmund. I heard there were already contact to his management. They're looking at him since summer. They're very impressed about the way he reached the Champions League final, and he played very good against Real Madrid. And now you don't get Thomas Tuchel, but perhaps you get the next former Dortmund coach with Edin Terzic.
Absolutely, there you go. There's clearly a pathway, isn't there? If you have any relation to Borussia Dortmund, you have a chance of being Manchester United manager. But before we move on to other names, let's talk about Terzic there. As you said there, you've heard that has already been contact with this individual. What can he bring to Manchester United potentially? Of course, I know we're still far away from this happening. Of course, Eric Ten Hag still needs to lose his job essentially. But what could he bring to Manchester United? And do you think he could be the answer to all of United's problems?
I think you have a lot of problems, so I don't know if there is a chance to find this one coach. But Edin Terzic is a very, very clear coach in his thoughts. He showed at Borussia Dortmund, which is not an easy team as well, that he can find a good system, a good tactics, and he can develop players. So I think he's a quiet guy, which would be good for United, just based on the work. And I think it could be very interesting. And when you reach a Champions League final with Borussia Dortmund, the quality of the team is good, but it's not so good like at Manchester United. You see what can happen if you have a coach with a clear plan. And I think this is the main point why United is thinking of him.
Absolutely. Just before we move on to some other stuff, there are obviously a couple of names that you have a lot of knowledge on when it comes to being linked with Manchester United. Sebastian Hoeneß, let's turn our attention to now, the Stuttgart manager. I apologise if his pronunciation from me there wasn't very good. I need to work on that clearly. But obviously, I think you reported, didn't you, that there was approach or there was contact in the summer. What can you tell us a little bit more about this? Could Manchester United potentially go in for him again? As I say, where are we in terms of this individual being linked with Manchester United?
Yeah, Sebastian Hoeneß is a very interesting German trainer. He was with his team in the Germany in front of Bayern Munich. They were second in the league, Bayern Munich third. He's a very special guy because he's the nephew of Uli Hoeneß, the chief of Bayern Munich. His father is Dieter Hoeneß, also a former player for the German national team and the brother of Uli Hoeneß. And so he has a lot of know-how about football. And what he's doing at Stuttgart is very impressive. Also, Pep Guardiola was calling somebody of Bayern Munich and was asking, is this the son of Uli? I said, no, it's not the son, it's the nephew. But you see, if Pep Guardiola is impressed of the style he's playing, it's always something special. And yes, it's true. United knocked at his door in summer, but it was the same situation. Also, Bayern Munich was interested in him, but he said, no, I'm here in a project. I want to play with my team now, the Champions League. There's also no chance during the season. So if United is firing Ten Hag, it could be difficult with Sebastian Hoeneß. But I'm sure in summer there would be a chance to get him that he want to make the next step to educate himself. But this would be a solution just at the end of the season.
Absolutely. And there was there's another name that I want to talk to you about, Christian, as well. I know we're absolutely flying through them, but this clearly is the case with Manchester United at the moment. So many names being linked, and in a way, I know it's a very difficult time for Manchester United at the moment, but the types of names that are being linked, it is quite exciting. And another individual that does have quite a few Manchester United fans excited that's been linked with the club is Julian Nagelsmann. Now, of course, there was some rumours that there was some interest in the summer as well, as there was with probably about 10 to 15 of the names. But this is where we're at the moment. Would he be open to joining Manchester United? Would he leave the Germany job in the summer if United offered him it? Or is this, again, a similar case where there's you know, the World Cup not too far away? Does he have his goals and his eyes firmly set on that? Or could he even be tempted to back into a domestic job, perhaps?
Yeah, at the moment, no chance for United. You had to be a little bit quicker because I know he has a clear plan of his career, and one step would be United. So you see, he's really interested in your club, but at the moment, he's really happy with the German national team. He want to play the World Cup 2026, and perhaps after that, he would like to go again to a club. You know, he's very young with his 37 years, so I think we will see him at a club again. He has some ideas. Of course, Manchester United is on his plan. Also, Real Madrid, I heard, but there's a big chance to get him, but not now.
Oh, Manchester United and Real Madrid, not too bad options, are they, for your future job? Best of luck to him, of course. And like you said, I think it's unlikely. And it is really important, isn't it, to really think about the futures of these current managers, you know, their projects, what they have going on domestically. Which managers do you think at the moment, as I say, it is quite difficult, even for a very connected individual like yourself, to fully put a first place, second place, third place, if you like. But in your opinion, with everything that you've heard, if Manchester United did decide to part ways with Eric Ten Hag, what managers do you think feature right at the top of Manchester United's list? And who would you say, in your opinion, is even the favourite for the Manchester United job if Ten Hag is, of course, surplus to requirements?
So
No pressure. No pressure.
now I think this is also the big problem of Manchester United to find now. They tried a lot in the past. They tried to take an experienced coach. They tried to pay Eric Ten Hag, which is a very tactical coach. I think they need a coach with a good mentality who makes Manchester United as a team. You know, I think this is a big problem, and perhaps that's why they always think on Germans, because Teamgeist, I don't know if you know the German word. I think the translation word team spirit, die Mannschaft. This is a thing German coaches can do very, very good. I think a perfect coach for you would have been Hansi Flick. You see what he's doing at FC Barcelona. So he would have been perfectly to Manchester United. But he's not on the market. You won't get Jurgen Klopp at the moment. Thomas Tuchel is away. So I think Edin Terzic is a very good idea. Everything, other names could be difficult. I just heard the Germans ones. I don't know if they have other ideas. I heard there are three names. I just know one, and I hope we get the others as well soon.
Absolutely. For everyone's sake, Christian, for your sake, for my sake, and every Manchester United fan watching this, let's hope we have a conclusion very quickly. In regards to Eric Ten Hag now, of course, as we know, it doesn't take a genius to work out that he is under pressure at Manchester United. But as you said there, you know, he's got a very strong career and CV in terms of being attractive to other clubs out there. And there have been some links and reports I've seen over the past week or 2 weeks that he's been linked with a move back to Bundesliga should he leave Manchester United. Have you heard anything about this? And if you have, are there even any specific clubs that may be interested in acquiring Eric Ten Hag's services?
I know that at Bayern Munich there were thoughts about him in the past because when they were searching, now it's Vincent Company, but he was on the list indeed. Also, doesn't work out at Manchester United. That was the surprising thing, but they knew how he worked at the second team at Bayern Munich. The former CEO Karl-Heinz Rummenigge is a big fan of him, but at the moment everybody is looking at his situation there. I think we could see Erik ten Hag in the Bundesliga. The clubs are still impressed what he's doing on the pitch. I heard the thing which was always also not so good at Ajax Amsterdam is his behavior in the dressing room. He's not a man catcher, as you say, like Jürgen Klopp was. Yes, he's good in tactic, but perhaps he has to improve talking with the players. Perhaps take them more in his thoughts about what he's doing, and working with stars is also a little bit complicated, as we saw for him. I like Eric very much because I know he's a really, really good coach, but perhaps the step United was a little bit early.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always quite difficult to see, isn't it? Because as you say, Erik ten Hag is clearly a very strong manager. He's got ideas. We only have to look at what he did with Ajax to reach the semi-finals and very, very closely, nearly anyway, get to the final if it wasn't for a last-second goal from Tottenham. But it's a bit of a shame the way that it's panned out. I just want to, in regards to wrapping up the manager conversation now, I do want to talk about Tuchel. I know I asked you a quick question at the start in regards to how everything is sort of being witnessed and seen as in Germany, but when it comes to Manchester United, of course, he was heavily linked. There were reports that even the board at Manchester United, the new Ineos board, even had conversations with him. And there are contrasting reports. I'm sure you've seen it. There's a lot of people out there that say that Manchester United rejected Tuchel, and there are quite a few reports saying it was the other way around. It was Tuchel who didn't quite like the project that was being sold to him. Christian, I need you to sort of wrap this up for me and explain what have you heard. Which way was it? Who rejected who when it comes to Manchester United and Thomas Tuchel?
Yes, I revealed the story a few months ago that there was this meeting in Monaco with Jim Ratcliffe, and that shows how close they were at this time. And this was the same time when Sebastian Hoeneß was asked if he wants to get there. So you can see the talks were not so good. Thomas Tuchel, I think, would love to train Manchester United, but I heard also United after this talks was not totally convinced about him. That way, Erik ten Hag get a new contract. So you see, he was always on the list, but no, not so high rated as he already was in the summer. So it worked out very quickly with the national team. I think at the end, there were some candidates before Tuchel, because Tuchel is a very honest man. And I heard in the talks he thought about the squad, and this was not so good for somebody who bought all these players. So I think if Tuchel would be your manager, the bosses had to sell a lot of players. So it's often easier to get another coach.
Yeah, a lot cheaper as well, Christian. A lot cheaper.
Yes, it is.
Just one final question on Thomas Tuchel. As you've just stated there, there were clearly very strong talks in the summer with the German manager. Of course, the England manager now is quite strange to say that, isn't it? But it's something that I'm certainly going to get used to. Was there any further approach from Manchester United in regards to Thomas Tuchel, or were the conversations left at the dinner table in Monaco in the summer?
I heard there was not so many contact after these talks. Yes, he was still on a list. You have a very long list now, perhaps just three, but he was on the list still. But it was not hot after this talk because, as we said, if you have to sell half of the team, that the coach is confident. It's really difficult, it's a lot of money, and it's really cheaper to get a new coach and not selling half of the team.
Absolutely. I just never thought we'd be in a situation where England were more ambitious than Manchester United, Christian. But here we are. And as long as Thomas Tuchel is enjoying himself, I wish him the best, and hopefully he can bring some much needed glory back to the English country. I just want to take your attention now to some players. Of course, now, as you said there, that Thomas Tuchel made it very clear that Manchester United do need a bit of work. They do probably need to bring in one or two, or maybe even four or five new players to get them back to where they should be, or at least challenging in that regard. I read this report recently that that Man United are ready to raid Bayern Munich when it comes to some of their stars. You know, we've already seen them go for Mazraoui and Matthias de Ligt, who we will talk about in a little while. But in regards to some of the names I've heard, you know, Goretzka, Alphonso Davies, even Leroy Sané, who is of course ex Manchester City, which would be quite interesting. They're in the latter stages of their contract, or at least most of them are. What is the situation around these kinds of players? Is there truth to Manchester United being linked with them, or is this maybe a situation that we've seen quite a lot in the past where players get linked to Manchester United in almost as a red herring, if you like? That's what we say here in regards to getting the move that they really want to. You know, they say to, let's say, for example, of Real Madrid, if you don't come in for us, Manchester United would love us. So you better hurry up and pay the money, or get us the contract we're looking for. So yeah, them types of players at Bayern Munich, are they being linked with Manchester United, and are they being linked in a concrete way?
Yeah, to be true, there's nothing concrete at the moment, but you see that United knows that what is coming from Bayern Munich has a quality. That's why they have Matthijs de Ligt. That's why they have Nus Masraoui, because they didn't go for Frimpong. It was a cheaper way. Zirze, also a former Bayern player. So yes, but if you have the quality for Bayern Munich, you also have the quality of United. And there are some names which are always very interesting for United in the past. So Leon Goretzka was always in the focus of United. At the moment, he doesn't want to transfer in winter. He's not playing at Bayern Munich. But at summer, it can get hot. It depends, of course, who is the coach of your team. But I think Leon Goretzka wouldn't leave Bayern Munich so easily, but he would do for Manchester United. It is the same situation with Matthijs de Ligt. Normally, he would have stayed, but United is such a big club, and yeah, and Bayern Munich players dream of playing at Manchester United, even if Bayern Munich was more successful in the last years. But that's Manchester United still. And Leroy Sané, I know also in the past there was always interested in him, but at the moment he want to first talk with Bayern Munich about a new contract. But he is a free agent in summer, you know, and if they don't find a solution, because he's one of the top earners with 20 million euros gross at Bayern Munich, and he's a free agent, and Bayern Munich said, we don't pay it again. I think Manchester United will be at the table for such a player. He would fit totally to the team. You saw him at City. I think this would be very interesting for United. Davies is a little bit the same situation, but normally it's a target for Real Madrid. There were concrete talks. There were no concrete talks with United at the moment. So from this situation, I think Sané could be the next hot topic at United. Newcastle is concrete interested, but Newcastle is not a club he would choose at the moment. So good chances for United, and we will see if he gets a new contract at Bayern Munich. And if not, I think it's getting hot.
Oh, that's brilliant. You know, we only heard Paul Pogba's comments recently that he very nearly joined Manchester City and he really wanted to. So I think it's time for Manchester United to get them back and sign Leroy Sané. I think that would be brilliant, wouldn't it? In regards to the players that have joined Manchester United from Bayern Munich, you know, Matthias de Ligt and Mazraoui, these are individuals that were very they brought a lot of excitement when they came to Manchester United, of course, with their experience being at such a big club like Bayern Munich. I remember when De Ligt was in talks with Manchester United, and it was very nearly, you know, it very nearly got the green light. There was this petition that I saw from Bayern Munich fans, and there was tens of thousands of signatures to that, basically saying, "Please do not sign Matthias de Ligt." And you know, we go from that where there's a big fan base with almost a desperation to keep him because they know how good he is, to fast forward only a matter of weeks now, and he has had maybe one or two difficult moments at Manchester United, and all of a sudden it seems as if the narrative around De Ligt is that he's not good enough, or you know he's not quite at the level. That's why Bayern Munich sold him. What do you make of this? Because of course you've followed his career throughout. I still think he's still very young when it comes to the age of an average stereotypical centre back. So he has still got plenty of years ahead of him. But what do you think this is? Why do you think there is such a big transition in the way that De Ligt has been viewed? Do you think it's just because he's at Manchester United, or have Bayern Munich got rid of him for a reason?
So if I would not been a journalist and just a fan, I would sign also the petition
Mm.
that he should stay at Bayern Munich. Indeed, he's a really, really good defender. He's a really leader. I miss him at Bayern Munich. But Vincent Kompany has another playing style, a very offensive one. It doesn't fit to Matthijs de Ligt, we have to be true, because he's not so quick. He needs quick players for this style. But if you see at the last season at Bayern Munich, the reason why Bayern Munich was nearly in the final of the Champions League was because Matthijs de Ligt was playing at the end. If he wouldn't have missed the first semi-final, where Kim made a lot of mistakes, I think Bayern Munich would be in the final, and I think they would win the trophy against Dortmund again, like
Yeah.
2013 at Wembley. So you see how important he was for the team. The reason why they sold him was not that he's not good enough for Bayern Munich. The reason was he had a market, the other players not. They need money for the transfer ideas. And yes, he was a player Bayern Munich paid nearly 70 million euros. So there was United there. De Ligt wouldn't have choose any team on the world, but he chose United. And so Bayern Munich had a chance to get some money for a very good player. And so they did it. Otherwise, they couldn't paid perhaps Michael Olise, Palinha. So it was a pity, but perhaps it's a win-win situation. Bayern Munich has some money, and you a really good defender.
Well, there we go. I've got a lot more confidence now, Christian, in Matthias de Ligt. I was always a fan, but now that he has the Christian Falk seal of approval, I'm more than okay with that. Just in terms of one more question before I get your personal opinion on the state of Manchester United at the moment. What are the thoughts do you think, or maybe even do you know of the players like De Ligt and like Mazraoui that have just come to Manchester United, very optimistic, of course, joining such a huge club already from being at a huge club, as you said there, and you've said throughout today, the attraction of Manchester United is still firmly there despite the difficulties on the pitch. But what do you think? And as I say, maybe even what do you believe is their thought process at the moment, considering that they've just got their move? They were maybe even very excited to work under Ten Hag. Of course, they both have history respectively with Eric Ten Hag in their career. And for it to now change so drastically already within a few games of the season, where do you think their heads are at the moment? And do you think that maybe plays a part in the fact that they're finding maybe one or two difficult moments on the pitch, the uncertainty around the manager at the moment at Manchester United?
Yeah, if you're a new player and you are new in a club, it's not depend on age or on quality. If yes, it's I think for every player in the world, it's hard to get now to Manchester United in this situation. You need a team which is functional, which has a style, and then you can find in. And this is the problem at the moment for these two players. I'm sure they have the quality to play at Manchester United. I saw them at Bayern Munich. I think they didn't get rid of these players because they didn't have the quality of Bayern Munich. As I said, they get rid because they had a lot of players on this position and they had a market. And I think they need somebody who can work with them now. Clearly, we are back at Hansi Flick, like he does in Barcelona now. You see, like Robert Lewandowski is playing there now under Hansi Flick. If you have a coach who can work there and the boss is behind him and he shows the players they have full trust in him, and then you can develop at a new club and this will happen. But at first it has to be more quiet on your bench. And I hope that Eric can play better as he does at the moment because he's a good coach. But the situation is not only difficult for Eric, it's also difficult for the players.
And it's also difficult for the fans, Christian. Believe me, it's got to a stage now where it's almost as you say there. Of course, every Manchester United fan is very hopeful that Eric Ten Hag can miraculously turn things around. But given the current state and the difficulties that he finds, it does seem quite hard for Manchester United fans to go down that route. Just before I let you go, because I know you're a busy individual, and I just want to thank you, of course, for taking your time to speak to us today. In regards to the way that Manchester United are viewed, I think I asked you this last time we had a little chat, but in the way that Ineos have come in, there was a lot of optimism. They signed Lenny Yoro as well, which was a really big coup. A lot of people were very excited, of course. He hasn't played at Manchester United yet due to an injury, but this was the type of profile of player that Manchester United, or the new Manchester United, should we call them, wanted to sign. He was heavily linked with Real Madrid. It brought a lot of optimism that Manchester United are moving in the right direction. They're signing players for the future, and this could be a new dawn for Manchester United. But it always seems to be the same problems with Manchester United at the moment. But what I wanted to know from your side of things out in Germany, from your perspective as a very established journalist in this field, what are Manchester United viewed like at the moment? Are they still viewed as a big team, or do they almost come across as a team that are so far away from that they're not the team anymore? Because I always think to myself, as you know, you're following Bayern Munich for so long, if this situation happened to Bayern Munich, it wouldn't last for 10 years. It wouldn't last for even 5 years. It would only last maybe 1 year or 2 years at the very most before a big change, and they're back to where they belong. The same with Real Madrid, and probably even Barcelona as well. So what is Manchester United viewed like across Europe and in Germany in specific? Are they still deemed as one of the top clubs, or are they deemed as a team basically just nowhere near where they should be?
I would say Manchester United is still seen as a top club, but the team is not seen as a top team. Sorry about that. But I think this is the big problem of Manchester United. So many changes at the past. I think this is also the analysis of Thomas Tuchel. Yes, if you change your manager in Germany, it's a coach. You always change everything. At Bayern Munich, you have a coach and you have a head of sport, which is our manager. So if you have somebody with a plan who buys players for Bayern Munich for a typical style of Bayern Munich, so you have some structure still in the team. At the moment, your team doesn't have a structure. It's not a plan of how wants to be United on the pitch. There is no philosophy of United. I can't say at the moment which is the style of United, and every big team has a style. Real Madrid has a very special style. Barca has a very special style. Bayern Munich has a very special style. But United, you don't know what is the style of United. And for that, you need a really, really good coach who brings the ideas in and who can buy the players for this style. You have very good quality. You spend a lot of money, but it doesn't fit together. I'm very sorry.
I know. Don't be sorry, Christian. We like honesty on this channel. Just before I let you go, one very, very, very final question. I promise this is my last one. Now, of course, we started today's show by saying that Thomas Tuchel is now the England manager, a German as the manager of England. So I just want to ask you, Christian, the World Cup coming up in about 18 months' time, maybe a little bit longer than that. Are you going to be supporting Germany or England?
Ah, very hard question. I'm already thinking about which match I want to see in March, and you're asking me
Yeah.
about the World Cup. No, no, but always Germany, of course. But we are really proud of Thomas Tuchel. I'm always a fan of the English national team. So I hope, of course, Germany is doing it again. This is our clear target. Julian Nagelsmann said we want to be world champion. But to be honest, the quality of your team is better. And now you have also a coach with a German mentality of winning. This could be a little bit dangerous for us. So I hope you're doing well, but not so well that you beat Germany in the final. But it would be a dream that this final would happen in America.
Do you know what, Christian? It's so nice to hear some positivity, because the way that the media have been going for Thomas Tuchel in this country because he's German is quite astonishing. But look, I'm a part of a massive fan base of English fans who are absolutely excited to have one of your men as our leader. So thank you so much, Christian. We really appreciate your time because, of course, you're such a busy individual, but the information, the knowledge that you give us is absolutely priceless. So thank you so much, my friend. Best of luck, and I'm sure we'll talk before the March games, so we can get your gauge on just how well Thomas Tuchel's doing as well.
Yeah, see you at Wembley.
Lovely stuff. Thank you as always. And of course, thank you to everyone who has watched today's episode. in the massive unlikely case you don't already follow Christian, please follow him. He's absolutely across everything, not just with Manchester United, not even just in Germany, across the board. He is right up to date with everything, as we are on this channel. So please be sure to like, subscribe, do all of that. And please join me again when I'm joined with another brilliant guest. Please be sure to watch out as well for the many exciting things we've got coming up on this channel. You don't want to miss it. And be sure to join me again when we've got a lot more information.
And if I can add that, perhaps the people want to like my English podcast now. I have it now in English.
Of course. Carry on,
FC
Christian.
Bayern, FC Bayern Insider. It's made by artificial intelligence, so my English should be more perfect as it is at this talk. Perhaps you like it.
Oh, your English is more than good enough. And if AI does a good enough job for you, maybe we'll get AI to be the Man United manager. Who knows? But thank you so much, Christian. Of course, thank you to everyone. Take care and join me again. Subscribe to the MUFC MPB YouTube channel.